is 3:01, so I guess we'll go ahead and get the party started. My name is Elise. I'm the marketing executive here at ByWater Solutions, and I am joined by Jesse, our Vice President of Strategic Partnerships, and Kate, our Sales Development Coordinator. And today we're going to be talking about implementing Koha and Aspen at your library. So we're going to really delve in today how Koha and Aspen are truly the dynamic duo. And we're going to walk you through the seamless process of implementation. Throughout this process, you'll learn how the ByWater team will work with you to set up an ILS and custom discovery layer that will meet your library's individual needs. And we'll talk about things that we do here and give specific examples from libraries we've worked with to give you a better idea of how this process works. So as always, the chat and the Q&A are open if you have any questions, and the session is being recorded and will be sent out. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jesse and Kate.
Okay, thank you so much, Elise. Kate and I are really excited to talk to you about all things implementation with Koha and Aspen at your library. So we'll kick things off talking about ByWater Solutions. Our service here at ByWater is all-inclusive and tailored to take the complexity out of interacting with what you normally think of as a traditional library vendor. All of us here at ByWater Solutions are librarians or have worked in a library or IT or some aspect of being a part of that library engagement. We know what it means to be frontline, working with our patrons to make sure that they're getting the best service. So as part of our support package, we cover essentially everything that your staff will need and not have to worry about if they need to ask a question or if a problem arises. We are here to handle that for you. We really pride ourselves on thorough communication and really maintaining a high level of responsiveness with our partners. We really want to build that relationship with you during the process so we all can work together to make sure that the transition is smooth. For the last 16 years, ByWater Solutions has been providing implementation services for open source products. In 2009, we started by supporting Koha, and since then, we've grown to support many other open source products, also Aspen Discovery, LibKey, and Metabase. We understand how important your data is to you and your users. It's critical to have accurate transfer of your data from your legacy ILS over to Koha. During the process, your data migration specialist will analyze your data and communicate any changes that are needed. This is a really great time for you to be able to look at your data and clean it up as we provide a data mapping process for you. Here, both ByWater and your team will be able to analyze that data, and we can work together to translate the existing data into your Koha and Aspen system. Again, this is a really great chance for you to tidy up your catalog. Maybe you want to clean out some old or expired patrons that have not been active in the system for the last, let's say, 10 years. And of course, you can clean out some of that legacy data. Sometimes people get stuck in that these were the exact codes that we had to use in our system. Now it's time to clean that up. The ultimate goal of this process is to really configure the data in both your Koha and Aspen system to support the needs and the workflows within your library. Now we'll talk a little bit about the partner engagement process. Again, at ByWater, we refer to our customers as partners because we truly believe that we work together through this process. Partner engagement is critical for a successful migration. Being engaged during that implementation process helps our teams become active. You can point a great person to be involved and held accountable to make sure that the entire migration process from start to finish is smooth. Some of the key things that we recommend is having your stakeholders in the implementation or process attend the meetings. Whether you've identified a group for migration or you have a committee, it's critical for these users to be here and attend the meetings and be active. You want to be respectful and meet deadlines. This helps stay on the implementation plan to achieve benchmarks and complete action items. We suggest being responsive to requests and communication. Communication is always critical in the process to make sure that your team is being heard and that communication is getting sent back over to the ByWater team. Again, setting you up for success. You also want to coordinate any internal meetings. Maybe there's decisions you have to make. Maybe you're going fine-free, or you want to change the process for damaged items, or perhaps you have a particular patron category that gets charged a cost. These are all things you want to talk about, so when you come to your implementation meetings, you're prepared to make decisions. Now let's talk a little bit about change management. This is critical for success as well. Managing a complex project is something that we probably all have done at some point in our career, or maybe this is the first ILS or discovery implementation that you're working on. Think about the needs of your staff members. Every department's going to be a little bit different. Managing that change and listening is so crucial to be able to help your team be heard and go through that process. We have a couple examples here of things that help our team get through that change process. The first, of course, is lead by example. As a library staff leader, you set the tone for your team. So the positive attitude that you put forward will be what your team will follow. Consider your staff. Not everyone needs to be included in every single meeting, but every meeting should have the folks that need to attend. Think about things that are critical for each member. If it's technical services, you'll want to grab, cataloging or acquisition staff. If it's circulation or patrons, make sure you have some frontline staff in there. They're the folks that are engaging with your patrons every day. Be transparent. Really share notes and recordings during the migration process. At ByWater, if we can record those for you for a team member who wasn't able to make it, that really encourages staff to watch, share questions and concerns that they have with you, and then you can share with the implementation team at ByWater. Think about cooperation with your group. There are over 2,000 settings and permissions between Koha and Aspen. During this implementation process, your ByWater Solutions implementation team will be working with you to think about the things within your ILS and discovery layer. Our goal is not to help you recreate your current ILS and Koha, but to build a new system that will be as close to your process as possible. The next thing is communicate. I've probably said this a lot on my last few slides, but also here. Communication is critical between your team members and between your ByWater implementation team. Any concerns or issues that come up during the process, we want to be able to identify those and answer those within the system. And then finally, a sandbox. Encourage and schedule time for your staff to play and practice within your Koha and Aspen sandbox. This is the best way for staff to really become comfortable and confident while they're using the system. It will have your data, your information, your patrons, your transactions in there. So when they're in the system, they truly feel comfortable in the process that they're using. When I was an educator at ByWater, I would always suggest 10 to 15 minutes a day. If you just processed a claims returned in your current ILS, jump over to your sandbox in Koha or Aspen and then perform the process there. That way you get to know the system and you think about all those little one-off things that might not happen every day at the front line, but just some things that might change. Somebody asks to update their cell phone number, or we put a note on their account that says they have a neighbor who comes and picks up for them. These are all great ways for you to be able to encourage and, of course, schedule time for your folks to play within the system. Now I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Kate, to talk a little bit about the implementation process itself.
Thank you, Jessie. So at ByWater Solutions, sharing knowledge and sharing resources and empowering you to provide the best service to your patrons is really a priority. And implementation process is really no different in that way. That we really try from the very beginning to give you the tools, the resources and materials that you can take advantage of everything that Koha and Aspen and ByWater have to offer. So we have a few resources that you get acquainted with right from the very beginning and of your implementation project, and that is predominantly the Help Center, which is by our ticketing system and support portal built into Zoho Desk. Tickets are the primary form of communication just because they make it easy to pass information between different team members, and also written communication, written track record is important to keep track of any decisions you might have made or any information exchange between you and your implementation team as well. So you can have a quick references, you and your team can have it as a quick reference guide as well. We do recommend that you set aside time to check your tickets, let's say twice a week throughout your implementation, just so you stay current as well, just so everybody is on the loop. You are our partners, so we want you to be very active in this process as well. There is never a limit of how many tickets you can submit and how many questions you ask. As Jessie mentioned, we really want to make sure that you make Koha and Aspen truly yours, and the only way to do it is just to get in there and start playing around, including with the resources that we provide you from the start. If you are currently in implementation, to create a ticket, you should be able to log into help.bywatersolutions.com. If you think you should be having access to this platform and you don't, please reach out to us and we'll be happy to help. Another resource that you will have access to during your implementation is a shared Google Drive folder. This Google Drive folder will contain all important resources, including your pre-mapping worksheet, any information we have from other partner libraries about extracting data from your ILS, and a configuration workbook that will guide our conversations throughout the implementation as well. Of course, that list is not exhaustive. That Google Drive can contain a multitude of different resources, and they will be added throughout your implementation as well. So again, something that you should most likely keep handy throughout the process and refer to later on as well. Another tool is Zoho Projects, which is our project management tool. The Zoho Projects board is your roadmap to implementation and lists all the tasks that must be completed prior to your go live. So any tasks that are assigned to you will be clearly marked with a pencil icon. So some items will be assigned to you, and most items will be assigned to your ByWater implementation team. But this way, you also have access to seeing how much progress everybody is making and to stay informed and in the loop. And finally, we also use Zoho Work Drive, which is our secure file sharing tool. So at the beginning of your implementation, we share that Zoho Work Drive to your email. And that's how this folder is what we use to send us your initial your initial data extract through, and then your final data extract through as well. So these are the four major tools you would be using throughout your implementation. Now let's talk a little bit about timeline of the implementation. So typical migration usually takes around 4 to 6 months from kickoff call to go live. I will also say that, of course, no two implementations are alike. We try to make them as tailored to your needs and to your library as possible. But this is the general bracket that we aim at, regardless of your size and manpower that you can devote to this project. So in the next set of slides, we'll talk a little bit more about the migration itself, configuration and training and testing, and what those elements look like. So since we see the first element here is a kickoff call. What actually is a kickoff call? So that is the time when a ByWater project coordinator reaches out to you and arranges an initial meeting. So contract is already signed, you have already made the decision, yay, welcome. But now we actually have to start the work. So this is when we actually try to figure out this is our first opportunity to get acquainted, to put faces to names, and just establish overall scope of the process of the library, and just get to know each other better. Who's going to be involved in which parts of the implementation. We of course have a suggested list of who should be involved in the implementation project, like for example, some representatives from an IT team as well. And we of course established that during that kickoff call to make sure that everybody who should be involved is involved, or we have a way of reaching them as well. So after the welcome call, what happens is the initial data extraction. So that's when one of our data specialists contacts you through our ticketing system and requests the initial data abstract from your current ILS. So we do, of course, provide very detailed instructions about what we need from that particular extract. We will also ask you to fill out a pre-mapping spreadsheet. So we provide all the prompts and you do all the work. But don't worry, you always have our guidance throughout the way. But this is something just to get you started also throughout the process. And as Jesse mentioned, it's a good opportunity to clean up your data as well. And it gives us a general overview of what to expect in your data, how to map it, what challenges we may face as well. But again, we provide you full instructions about that extract and what you can expect. So we will need your bibliographic, item, patron, and current circulation and transactional data files to get started. We also recommend and ask you to take very detailed notes how you obtain those files, just because you'll be following those same steps when you do the final extract before your go live. We will, of course, our data specialists will send you suggested reports and notes from our past migrations as well to your current system, as chances are we have migrated your ILS before, so we'll be happy to help. Of course, once we receive that extract, our implementation team will analyze it, communicate any changes. So again, you are never alone throughout this process. And of course, one of the very important elements of the process is integrations. So our project coordinator will also share an integration survey with you, so you can let us know about any third-party services that communicate with your ILS via SIP2, NSIP, API, or any other method. So this is the time when we might need to involve either local staff or any IT members of your team as well at that stage. So this is also when you would set up Libby, Hoopla, other e-content provided in Aspen, self-check stations, automated material handlers, and so many, many more elements that your libraries contain. So the next step of our project planning are the implementation meetings. So this is when we actively work with your team and learn about your specific collections, workflows, library policies. So our implementation specialists basically work with you to understand your data, to help translate your data and policies like item rules or item types or circulation rules from your current ILS to Koha, and also make sure that they display correctly in both Koha and Aspen. Usually data mapping is one to two meetings that cover mapping your library, patron, bib, and item data into Koha. Next, we usually have around 2 meetings that cover circulation and technical services. So that will cover circulation, hold management, overdue settings, cataloging in Koha, along with acquisitions, serials, e-resource management, and interlibrary modules as well, if of course you are using them. That's the great part about using Koha and Aspen. All the modules are there, but you decide what to use. During Aspen configuration and customization meetings, these are usually 3 to 5 meetings, we guide you through Aspen setting and how they relate to settings in Koha. Here, we also focus on customizing Aspen interface, configuring any integrations, and just teaching you how to use any tools like placards and browse categories to promote your collections and resources, and how to maximize patron engagement using your discovery layer. And finally, 1 to 3 implementation meetings are focused on data review. So we cover notices, reports, data testing, and any outstanding integration tickets. And we also prepare for your on-site or webinar training. Testing data is very important. We always emphasize, again, whether you're in implementation or you're already a user of Koha and Aspen, testing is a great way to stay current. And we, of course, provide a data testing plan for you to point you in the right direction regarding the specifics of where to look and what to check. And we always recommend that you have at least 2 people from each library department, so circulation, public services, IT, collection development, etc., log in and familiarize themselves with the system. That's just so everybody is on board, and we of course realize that not everybody will be using the same sections of Koha and Aspen, but just to give them the confidence to use the products and to introduce products to others as well. And what is the actual point of testing? Well, to make sure that your Aspen and Koha work exactly the way you want them to. This is a great opportunity to pinpoint any discrepancies, to make sure that your searches work, to make sure that patrons can log in, that everything displays the way you would like it to. And of course, we encourage you, as you go throughout the process, make note of any observations and put your questions forward to your implementation team. Now we've done all the setup, so we have to move on to training. So training is typically held about 4 weeks prior to your go live. Again, there's always a little bit of flexibility there. That is the estimated timeline. During training, you will have a dedicated educator or educators, depending on your needs, who will teach you everything you need to know, basically, about Koha and Aspen. The training is customized and it's very hands-on. So you will be utilizing your own data on the server, and the training will explore modules of Koha and Aspen that you need and you use. So any features of the discovery layer and the ILS that are relevant to you and your experience will be introduced and explained to you during this section of implementation. And again, since you will have dedicated educator or educators with you, if any issues arise, you will receive any guidance or any help on the spot as well. And you can also submit tickets throughout this phase as well. We do usually 2 different types of training, either on-site or webinar. So in both cases, we work with you to customize your training agenda. Again, no 2 implementations are the same. We want to make sure that everything is custom-made to your needs. Training usually covers circulation, patron management, other public service matters, cataloging, technical service processes, and of course, system administration and reporting. The type and number of days of training will vary depending on what you decided on during the contract signing phase. And now you've done all the work, you've set everything up, everything is configured and ready to go. Training, the countdown to your go live begins. So this is the period where all the decisions are finalized. Every project plan is triple checked. We also bookend the go live day with a pair of meetings to review tickets, discuss your go live, answer any outstanding questions. Again, we are here to walk you through the process, especially that last week. We all know how those big projects can go, so we want to make sure that we are here with you. We do recommend that libraries close for the period between the final patron extract and go live morning, just because it's a more creative environment, a more conducive environment to make sure everything goes smoothly and also gives you ample of time to orient themselves and prepare to assist patrons. And also allows time for the discovery layer, Aspen, to reindex and accurately display everything in your catalog after that final extract. And about 2 weeks before your go live date, your implementation team will also meet with you to make sure everything has been resolved before the big day. So we will, of course, discuss any open tickets and the timeline, including your go live day, and that plan for that data extraction. So usually right before your go live, we'll conduct a final data extraction to make sure everything is current. And again, patrons can use, and patrons and staff can use Aspen and Koha as soon as that migration is complete. Typically, we do our go lives on Wednesday. That's when we flip the switch and your Koha and Aspen production sites go live. Your implementation team and, well, most of us are around on Wednesday to help you out, provide support, and respond to any questions you have. So again, you always have our full support during your implementation project. And then our last section is the post-go live meeting. So about a week and a half after your go live, again, we meet with you to discuss how the go live went, any outstanding issues, and of course, answer any questions. We'll also introduce you to a member of our support team to make sure that the handover to the support side goes smoothly. This is our implementation process, the gist of our implementation process. Again, we always customize whatever you need to make sure that it meets your needs and wants. But we really want to emphasize that you are never alone. We are here to answer any questions and make sure that you can take advantage of what Koha and Aspen have to offer. We are here to guide you and support you.
Well, thank you, Kate, for walking us through that implementation process. For those of you who have been following us for the last few months, this is part of our Supporting for Success webinar series. Our next 2 webinars are going to be live from KoaCon. This will be recorded at the KoaCon session, and then the recording will be sent out on Wednesday, 11/26, around 3 p.m. Eastern. And then Kate will be doing tips, tools, and best practices for Aspen administrators on Thursday, 11/20, around 3 p.m. Eastern. If you are interested in making the switch or learning more about the services that ByWater Solutions provides for the implementation and migration of your legacy ILS or discovery layer, we'd be happy to set up a time to talk to you, provide pricing, and/or schedule a demo. If there are any questions, Kate or I would be happy to answer those. If not, thank you so much for being here. We love sharing what we do and how we can help libraries move to an open source product. Thank you for being here and have a great day. Bye.